Hey there, grade 8s. Welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to be doing lesson 2 of chapter 5, and today's lesson is on calculating percents. So I've got kind of an initial question for you so you can try this out. So I have this shape. So this shape has 6 units along the top. It has a total height of 6, but it looks more like a T. So my question for you is, if I was to increase the line segments, okay, so the line segments being each individual line would be a line segment. So this line segment here would be 2. This line segment here would be 6. If I increased each line segment by 150%, okay, so I increased the current line segment by 150%, what would my total area be? So my total area right now is 20 units. Okay, so if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. What would my new area be if I increased each of the line segments by 150%? Okay, pause the video, give it a try, and then I'm going to be talking about this, exactly how we might actually calculate it. All right? Okay, so hopefully you're actually back and you've actually tried this already. So let's look at what we have. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm actually going to label all of my line segments that are different. Okay, so I'm going to label this one 1. Okay, I'm going to label these ones 2, all 3 of these. Okay, so I've got this, this, and this. And then this one is going to be 3. Okay, and those are going to be the same. Actually, this is also 2. Okay, so I'm going to see what actually happens as I'm going through. So for my line segment 1, okay, right now it is 6, and I need to increase it by 150%. So that means all of it plus half. Okay, all of it plus half. Okay, so all of it is 6 plus half of 6 is 3. So that means my line segment 1 is now going to be 9. So if I was to redraw it down here, okay, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to label what each of the lengths are going to be. So this is now going to be 9, and then I can actually find the area. Okay, if I'm talking about number 2, so it's 2, so all of 2 plus half of 2, okay, plus 1. Okay, so this is my 100%. This is, you can see what I'm doing, 100%, and this is me adding my 50% to get 150%. So I'm technically adding those together. So this is going to be 3. So my distances for 3 are going to be here, 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 and here. Okay? And for line segment number 3, I have a distance of 4, plus half of 4 is going to be 2. So this gives me 6. So I'm going to have a distance of 6 down here on both sides. Okay? So does that make sense? Well, this whole length is 9, and then I've got 3, 3, and 3, which is 9. So what will my total area be? Well, my area will be equal to 9 times 3 if I take this top rectangle, and then 6 times 3, plus 6 times 3. Okay? So this would give me 27 plus 18, which gives me 45 units. Okay? So you can see that it's a significant amount bigger. So if you were to take something, for example, and you photocopy it and you say, I want it 150% bigger, you know, you're actually getting a much larger picture. All right, so let's break down into this lesson a little bit more now that we've finished that kind of fun kind of challenge activity to start the lesson off. Okay. All right. So when we're given percentages, and we're going to talk about kind of how a lot of this stuff relates so that we can actually try to see it. And we're actually going to be dealing quite a bit more with percentages over 100. So when we're talking about percentage to a decimal, so if we have 100%, that's going to equal, that's going to equal 1.0, okay? 100% is a whole. Okay, if we have 10%, it's going to be 0.1. If we have 1%, it's going to be 0.01. And hopefully you can kind of see the pattern. Okay, so if I was to keep going, I said 0.1%, well, my decimals moved over again, so 0.001. Okay, and I can follow that same thing. So what if I had 0.5%? Well, it's connected to the 0.1, where the decimal is in the same spot. It's just a different number, so 0.005. They're the same. The only thing that's different is the number is different. All right, so when we're talking about percentages, like I said, we're going to be talking about stuff that's over 100% and also less than 1%. So we're going to be dealing with a whole bunch of different things. So if I was to kind of demonstrate it on a number line, okay, so if I've got a number line that goes like this, let's say that this is 0%, let's say that this is 100%, okay, and then over here we've got 175 or something, okay, so like 110% would be there. So we can still represent percentages and these things on a number line so that we can kind of see where they might lay up. So if I'm talking about something like this, that's going to be really, really close to my 0%. It's going to be right beside it. Okay, I'd have to zoom in a little bit more to actually be able to see it. Okay, so let's go through some questions. Hopefully you're taking notes to make sure that it makes sense. Okay, so my first question is, write 210%. Write that as a decimal. Okay, write that as a decimal. Okay, so feel free to pause the video, and when you come back, we're going to explain exactly what we're looking at. All right, so 210% as a decimal. Just a reminder, 210%, and percent means out of 100. So I can literally say 210 out of 100. So it's no different from what we've previously been doing. Okay, if I want to try to simplify, I can reduce them both by 10, okay, which would give me 21 over 10, okay? Or I can try to simplify it some more and try to figure out exactly what it is over 1, which would give me 2.1 over 1, which is equal to 2.1, as we've discussed previously, okay? So, or the way that I can look at it, I can say, okay, if 1.0 is 100%, I have 100%, plus another 100%, plus 10%. Okay, so this is 1.0, which we discussed earlier, plus 1.0, plus, and then 10%, which we said is 0.1, which gives us 2.1. That becomes our decimal. Okay. All right. Hopefully that makes sense, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so here's kind of a more example. Okay, so the cost of a winter coat is $80. The selling price of the coat is $230, or 230% of the cost price. All right. So what is the selling price of the coat? So basically, what that's saying is it costs $80 to make the winter coat. Okay, but then they sell it after it goes through wholesalers and other stuff. So it's $80 to make. Okay, and then they sell it for 230% of the cost. Okay, so this here is what we are calling our cost. So what would the customer have to pay? All right, what would the customer have to pay? So basically what we're saying is that, what we can try to do is we can turn this into a decimal. Okay, so we can say 230 over 100, which is going to give us 2.3 over 1, which is 2.3. Okay, now we can use this. Okay, we can use our decimal, and then we can multiply it by our cost. So we're saying $80 times 2.3, or 230%, is going to give us our total. So when we calculate it, we get $184. Okay, so let's think about what's happening. This is doubling, so 80 plus 80 equals 160. Okay, then we have that 30%, so we have to find out what 30% of 80 is. Okay, and in this situation, so if I go 0.3 times 80, I'm going to get 24. So I add my 24, and I get 184. Okay. All right. The last example that we'll go through. Sorry, these lessons are a little bit longer. Okay, so when we're trying to find the percent of something, we want to try to multiply them together. Okay, so it's saying that, so basically what we're looking at, just to summarize, we're trying to find 0.28%. So this is less than 1%, okay, of 58,782. Okay, we need to find 0.28% of that. So I need to change this percent into a decimal. So if I'm going to say 0.28 over 100, I need to move my decimal over twice, so that means my decimal has to move over twice. So I'm going to get 28 over 10,000, which means I'm going to have 28 10,000, so 0.028. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. Okay, so that becomes my decimal. Okay, this is now the number 0.0028 times my whole. 58782. Okay, when I do that calculation, I am going to get 164.5896, and there's probably more that goes on with it. Okay, so that's exactly how it actually goes about calculating it. I need to turn my percent into a decimal, and then I multiply my decimal by my whole number to find out what that is. Okay, so if you were given, for example, your percent on a test, okay, if I just handed out your test results and I said, okay, you got 76%, okay, you got 76%, the test was out of 43, okay, what did you get? Well, you would take your 76, you'd turn it into a decimal, so you would say 76 over 100, which equals 0.76 or 76 hundredths. Now you're taking 0.76, times 43. So on your calculator, 0.76 times 43, that means you got 32.64 or 68 answers correct. So your score would have been 32.68 out of 43. Okay, I'm going to end the lesson here. If anybody has any questions, like I said, we're going to try to have as much practice with this stuff as possible. But bring your questions to Hangouts or bring them to the Zoom chat. All right, good luck.